It is officially that time of the season where I get to go through my crafting stash and make some unique and easy and affordable DIYs for Christmas in July. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. As you see by today's title and clicking on today's video, we have our very first Christmas in July DIY video for you. I am super excited. These DIYs are super easy, affordable, and really fast to make, and I am pretty sure a lot of these items are already in your Christmas stash or your crafting stash. But before we get started, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free. But don't forget to click the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. Don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out my channel. Now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's art today. For this DIY, you're going to need a wreath form. Any size would work for this DIY, but I believe mine is a 12-inch round. I have some ribbon left over in my stash that I am using, but if you have some Christmas ribbon, that will work as well. So I'm just wrapping the ribbon around my wreath form. I like doing this to all of my wreaths because when I add stuff onto it, it's just easier to attach something to the material rather than the wire. Now that I glued it into place, I am taking my ribbon and wrapping it around my wreath form. Once again, this is optional. I just like to do this because it's easier for me to attach things to it. This really doesn't take any time at all. The most difficult part was because my ribbon had wired on the end, and once it was all tangled up, I just had to fix it to make it nice and straight. I don't pull too tightly. I try to just wrap it nice and loose, but making sure that it's nice and snug up against the wire. Once I reach the end, I'm just taking a pair of scissors and I'm cutting it off so that I can wrap it at least once or twice more and then hot glue it to the back of our wreath form once again to hold everything in place. Remember, you can always use a stronger glue so that you have more of a permanent hold. Now that it is nice and wrapped, it is now time to decorate our wreath form, and I'm using Dollar Tree's bows that they sell every year. It says 30 comes in a pack, and it comes in a variety of colors and different patterns. So I'm just removing it from the package, and then my OCD kicked in because I was like, how am I going to place these onto my wreath form, and how much of each color do I have? So I started separating them by color just to get an idea of what I was working with. Here is all the ribbon laid out, and I have 6 gold, 6 silver, 5 red, 5 white, 5 of this red and green, 3 green, and 2 blue, which makes 32. So I got 2 extra bows in this bag. Now, to attach my bows to my wreath, I am using hot glue once again. Now, these bows do come with an adhesive sticker on the back to place it onto your present, but I just left that on, and I'm actually using that to glue it down to our wreath form. So any extra pieces that are left over, I'm also gluing down just to give it more of a sturdy hold. Now, I'm not really going in a pattern. I'm just trying to make sure I don't put 2 of the same colors together. And for this wreath, I'm just using red, white, green, and that green and red one combination for this. The gold, silver, and blue I did not use. I think gold and silver would make a really pretty one as well. And remember, if you want more of a permanent hold, you can always use a stronger adhesive. But since this is just a really light bow, the hot glue works really good. And plus, I will use this wreath for inside use only. So I'm just going to continue adding bows until we reach the end of our wreath, trying to make sure that the bows are as closely to each other as possible. Now, since I just used about 4 colors, I only had to use a bag and a little bit more of a second bag. But if you just use all of the colors in one bag, you only need one bag to do this wreath. Here's how it looks thus far, but if you look closely, you can kind of still see some of the ribbon in the background. That was bothering me just a little bit, so I found some of these frosted berries in my crafting stash, and I'm just going to pick some of them off of this little wire right here, and then I'm going to add them right onto our wreath, once again using some hot glue. Once everything was attached, that completes this DIY. This DIY is a perfect starter to our Christmas in July series. Very fast and easy to do. Only took a couple minutes to really glue everything down together. And if you're looking for something really quick and easy to throw in your house for the Christmas time, this DIY is perfect for that. For this next DIY, you're going to need a canvas, any size, any shape. It's really up to you how big or small you want to make this DIY. I have a 6x6 canvas and I want to paint it using my apple barrel paint in the color Candy Apple. I'm going to give it a nice generous coat right on top of it, and then I'm going to spread the paint all around until the whole top layer is covered. Now, I did have to do 2 coats of paint to really make sure that it was nice and bright. However, you can paint your canvas to whichever color that you would like. I'm just sticking with traditional red for the holiday season for Christmas. This will also correspond with whatever image that you are going to place, because we are going to make an exploding canvas or a breakaway canvas. I really don't know the name of it. There's a lot of different names, whichever one you like. Now for this one, I am going to start painting the back of my canvas as well, but the wooden frame that is holding it together. Sometimes when I was cutting my first one, I noticed that I saw that wooden frame underneath it, so I wanted to paint mine so that it matches the front. Next, you are going to need some sort of fabric or scrapbooking paper, whatever your heart's desire, to add to the back of your canvas here. Now, I just have this red piece of fabric in my crafting stash from years ago. I purchased it from Walmart. It's one of those fat quarters that they sell during the holiday season. I believe you get like 5 different ones in one pack. But I am just now cutting it down to size using a pair of scissors. I'm doing this so that we can get as close as we can to the canvas, and any extra we will cut off later. To attach my fabric to my canvas, I am using Mod Podge, and right now I only have that satin one, but any type of Mod Podge would work. You just want to make sure that you put a generous amount of that Mod Podge on it so that it will adhere down to your fabric or piece of paper. After I have my Mod Podge put down, I'm just adding my fabric right on top of it, and I'm making sure that I press down firmly. I want to make sure that the glue is attaching to the back of my fabric here. This fabric is pretty thick, so I had to make sure to really rub it in, and then I'm adding another generous amount of Mod Podge right on top to seal everything in. Once again, you want to make sure that you give it a nice generous amount, or if you do thin coats, you want to do a couple of layers. After everything was nice and completely dry, then you want to go in with an X-Acto knife or a sharp blade and start cutting off the excess. You want to be very careful though that you don't cut the canvas on this side, because then it will ruin the pop out. So after I have all of the edges cut, now I get to cut out the canvas itself. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. I first like to start off with a big cut right diagonally in the center so that I can now start cutting little triangle pieces around it. Now you don't have to make straight cuts. As you see here, I am making these little squiggly motions just to have a little different cut edges on each one of those pieces. Then as you see here, you're going to flip it over, and when your canvas pops out like such, you can see that fabric on the other side. Now you're going to need a backing. I'm using a scrapbooking piece of paper for that, but you can always use something a little bit more sturdier like cardboard at first, or a piece of wood, and then add your scrapbooking paper. But I just use my scrapbooking paper because it is really thick. I am going to trim it down to size to make sure that it is nice and covered all of my back canvas area here, and then I am going to decorate it. Now there are many different ways you can decorate it, but I have a lot of Dollar Tree's bags and boxes that have these beautiful vintage images on them, and also just regular Christmas cards that have these beautiful images on them as well, and I decided to use this Christmas card. But even if you don't want to use images from a bag or a box or a card, you can always paint your own and add that to your little canvas area too. So since I'm using my card, I am cutting it down to size. I first cut off the other section because we are not going to use that, but I might save it for another DIY because it does have a nice saying on the inside. Now I'm going to center this onto my little square area. Eventually I do have to cut it down because I didn't take in the factor that it won't be even in our little pop-up box later on, but it still worked out really nicely. I am attaching it using my hot glue gun, and before I attach that to the back of my canvas, I decided to glue down my pieces of canvas that we had cut open. I am just using my hot glue gun to attach those pieces down, and you do want to hold it into place so that it fully cures. If not, it does start to peel back up, but I just added more hot glue and held it into place. Now if you want a stronger or a permanent hold, I do suggest using some sort of permanent glue like E6000 or super glue. That way it doesn't pop off later. And just glue your pieces all sorts of different directions and curled up. It really makes it pop better. Now as you see here, I placed my canvas right on top of my card, and I'm making these little dashes because I wanted to add more embellishments to it, and now I know exactly where to put it so that it will be shown through that canvas. I am using some fake snow. Dollar Tree carries this every single year, but I had purchased this years ago and I still haven't gone through it, and I have 3 more bags from Dollar Tree in my crafting stash that I need to use up pretty soon. I am adding that snow right onto my Christmas card all around the edges just to give it more of a another layer of texture and really make it look like it was snowing inside. To attach my card to my canvas, once again, I'm just using my hot glue gun, trying to make sure that I line it up so that you can see the image and press down firmly. Lastly, you just want to add some sort of hanger to the back of it so that you can hang it on your wall. I'm using a piece of ribbon, a hot glue gun, and some masking tape, and once that was dry, that completes this DIY. I absolutely loved how this DIY turned out, and I already have so many more ideas on how to make more of these in the future. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of this stuff in your house right now to make some of these, but if you don't, all of these supplies can be purchased from Dollar Tree throughout the year and different holidays, so make sure you always keep an eye out. For our next DIY, you're going to need some sort of tray. This tray was purchased from Dollar Tree. They carry these trays all year long in various colors, but I just had this blue one in my stash, so I am using it. Next, you're going to need some sort of paper or fabric for this. I'm just placing my tray right on top of my scrapbooking paper, taking a marker and outlining the edge of it so that it will fit nice and snug inside of our tray. I then take my pair of scissors and start cutting that piece of paper out. Now I am cutting on the inside of the line that I made just so that it fits better inside of my tray. Then I'm rounding out the edges because inside of my tray it was more rounded. Here's how it looks after I dry fit it, and it fits pretty nicely. Now I wanted to add more embellishments and imagery to my tray. This will not be used as a tray itself, but more of a decorative piece. So this time I am using a box that I absolutely love the image on. I just think the snow globe is so stinking cute, and we have used this box a couple times throughout the holiday seasons, so it is now being upgraded into a little decorative piece. After I got the majority of the box away from the image, I then took my pair of scissors and start cutting off the remaining pieces around my image here, and then seeing which way I want it to lay. Next, I thought it was missing a little bit something, so I took the words from that box also and I started cutting around those. This is a great way, if you do not have a Cricut or a cutting machine, to just take words off of a box or a card and just cut around it, and then you can add it to your project. It is also another great DIY project to really recycle all of the leftover boxes from the prior year to use in a different way. After I have everything cut out to my liking, I'm just going to attach it to my tray. Now I'm just using hot glue for this, and I first add a nice generous amount to one side, really press down firmly so that the scrapbooking paper adheres down to the plastic, and smoothing out any of that hot glue that is raised so it is nice and smooth. Then I will lift up the paper, add more hot glue to the edges. Once again, I'm adding a nice generous amount, and then I will push that down, making sure it is nice and smooth. I did have to use my finger protection so that I didn't burn it because I added a lot more hot glue. Then it's now time to add our little image piece that we cut out earlier. Once again, I'm just adding a nice generous amount of hot glue right onto our image, and then place it into the center and make sure that it's nice and centered inside our little tray. Now for our words, I wanted it to be a little bit more raised off of our image here. So I took a popsicle stick, and I have my little cutters here, and I'm cutting just the tiniest little bit of wood pieces off of that popsicle stick. That way we can attach it to the back of our word and it won't be shown on either side. Now sometimes Dollar Tree does have that foam tape that you can add to the back of your image. That can also help raise up your lettering, but since I didn't have that, I'm just using what I have on hand. So as you see here, I'm adding a nice dollop of hot glue, finding the best smallest piece that will fit in that spot, and then I'll add that piece of wood right on top of the glue, and then I continued to fill up the whole word. Then flipped it over, added more hot glue to those wooden pieces so that we can attach it down to our tray in a nice little slanted area right here on top of our snow globe. I thought that was so cute because it's not really centered. It gives it a little bit more pizzazz, and it's just a little bit different. Next, I thought the tray was a little bare, so I wanted to add more embellishments to it. So I took more of my hot glue, added it to the creases of our tray, and then took some fake snow and added it right on top of the hot glue. Now I had to do this a couple times to really make that snow look like it was piled into the sides, but as you see here, I will continue going all around the edges, and then I will tap some of the snow down so that it touches the newer glue, and then I will go back and add more snow right on top. Now this step is fairly messy, but a little bit does go a long way. It's just it needs time to set up in the hot glue. But once everything did set up, I did want to make some of that snow come out a little bit further on the bottom of our tray here, so I added more hot glue and then added more snow, and I gave it about 2 layers on top of the snow underneath it. After that was done, I wanted my little tray to stand up, so I found a broken picture frame, took the backing off of it so that it has a little kickstand, added some hot glue, and wait for that to dry. This is how our little decorative tray turned out. I absolutely love it. I love that you can just set it up in the kitchen and it's more of a display rather than a tray. I really think that you can also add some lights to the back of it since it is transparent, and then it will sparkle behind it, but I absolutely love this DIY. All right, friends, that completes our first round of Christmas in July DIYs. I had a blast making each and every one of these. These are really simple, easy, and really quick to do. And a lot of this stuff I'm pretty sure you have in your crafting stash or Christmas decor area. Check it out and shop at your home. Don't always run out to the store and buy brand new when you can just look in your home and make it yourself. You definitely have to let me know which one out of these three projects was your favorite. I would have to say the exploding canvas was my favorite, and I am excited to make more. Remember, friends, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. But don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out my channel. Remember, friends, I do have other socials. I have a Facebook, Instagram, and now a Patreon page. All of those links will be down in the description box below. I do want to give a big shout out to my Patreons. Thank you so much for supporting my page. If you are interested in becoming a member, that link will be down in the description box below. There are so many benefits to becoming a member. All of that information will be on my Patreon page. I do have a welcoming video and a bunch of freebies over there, so make sure you check it out. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video because I absolutely did, but I really need to get back to work and start making more for this month. So as always, I will see you in the next one.